Hi, I'm Ashley, and welcome to Everyday Restorative Yoga. If you don't have yoga props, be creative. You will need something to represent a bolster. This can be two stacked blankets, an additional blanket or two, at least one to cover up with, as well as yoga blocks or something like stacked books. Grab an eye covering and any additional props, and let's get started. Be sure to place your eye covering at the top of your mat, and we are going to grab one of our bolsters and one block. Placing the block at the top of the mat, the bolster lengthwise with the top edge on top of the block. This is where if you have an additional bolster, or you can use a rolled blanket, create a thick roll to place underneath your knees. Placing the second blanket somewhere that you can reach it. Come to sit on your mat. Scoot all the way back so your seat is on the mat and your low back is touching the bolster. Grab whatever prop you would like to place underneath the knees. Be sure you feel comfortable. Begin covering yourself up. All right. Situate yourself, come down towards your elbows, walking the spine down on the reclined bolster and block. Adjust your hair, or in my case, my sweatshirt hood out from underneath my shoulders. Finish covering myself up. This is a good point if you would like any additional props to help hold up the arms. 2 more folded blankets would do. Begin by letting the feet fall out to the sides and the legs be heavy. Let the pelvis sink down into the mat. Check in with your low back and make any additional adjustments to become comfortable. The full length of the back is supported on the bolster. The elbows are becoming heavy and falling to the ground, to the mat. Check in with your neck and shoulders. Let the shoulders drop down away from your ears. Your arms and hands are heavy. Extend through the back of the neck and tuck your chin. Settle back in to your props. Reclined relaxation pose allows us to come down to the earth and practice stillness. It offers us a time to connect deeper with our breath and with our body, giving ourselves permission to simply rest. So come here in this moment and focus inward to the rhythm and flow of your breath. Imagine the sensation of the breath like a wave, the eternal wave of the ocean coming in and going out. Let this rhythm flow naturally with your own breath. Observing the sensations of inhaling in and what it feels like to exhale out. Begin to feel the changes in sensations in the body. How the body begins to settle. The trunk and legs feel heavy. The breath is open and free. Practice now the act of stillness, giving yourself permission to come to a deliberate rest. Check in with the body here. Scan the body with your inner awareness, checking in to each part and piece. No judgments, no criticism, just a simple wave of awareness. Next, staying exactly as you are, simply bend the knees. The feet come flat to your mat. Kick the bolster in a little closer to your seat and begin to let the knees drop down to the sides. The palms of the feet may come together as the knees drop open. Reclined bound angle. Breathe deeply and gently. Begin to feel the sensation of openness, a feeling of spaciousness. The breath easily rises and falls. With each exhalation, the knees drop open and the pelvis relaxes. Check in with your shoulders, making any adjustments, and find comfort in reclined bound angle. Savoring for a few minutes, quiet stillness. Slowly come back to the present moment. After relaxing so deeply and so open, gently come back to the mat. Gently blinking the eyes open. Bring the knees to the ceiling, feet on the mat. Gently turn on to one side, being aware that you are on an incline. Rest here on your side for a round of breath. When you're ready, move your hands and arms down to the floor and push yourself all the way up to sit. Remove your covering off to the side and adjust your bolsters. We will be coming into supported child's pose. You can leave your bolster on an incline. Adjust your covering to the back of the mat. If you have an additional block and would like the support for your belly, this is a good time to place the block underneath your bolster. This is going to bring the floor up. I am going to remove the bolster off of the top block so my bolster is flat and lengthwise on the mat. I'm going to take my secondary blanket, unfolding it all the way so the short ends are folded together. Then once again, bring the short ends together. Bring the tassels to the side and begin to roll the blanket. This is going to support our ankles. Come into a kneeling position behind our bolster. The knees come out wide, the big toes come together. Bring the bolster closer into your lap. Grab your blanket that you rolled, placing it on the back of the mat under your ankles. Be sure your ankles feel supported so your feet can drop off. Bring that bolster back in and begin to cover yourself up. Keeping the blanket with you. Walking the hands out on top and next to the bolster, the belly comes down, the chest comes down, and one ear comes down to the bolster. Settle down onto your bolster, letting the hips relax down towards your mat, towards your heels. This is a deep opening in the front of the knees. If at any time this feels uncomfortable, come out of the posture, add more height underneath your chest or belly, or add height underneath your seat, creating less bend in the knee. We want to be able to drop the low back down, extending through the back body, creating length and openness in the low back. Feel the rhythm of your breath on your belly and chest. The pressure created by the bolster. Check in with your shoulders and release them down to the mat. Let the elbows be heavy. Let your breath be soft. Your gaze will naturally come in during forward bends. Savor the gentle safety of child's pose. At this time, bring your face to the bolster, turning your neck so the opposite ear comes to rest down on the bolster, turning to face the opposite direction. Once again, settling down on your bolster. Feel the tenderness. Tap into that deeper inner voice and surrender fully to your props. Come back to your breath. Turn to face your bolster. Begin to drag the arms back to push up to sitting, dragging the vertebrae up, rolling up slow, sitting back on your heels. Come to sit back in a kneeling position. Taking a breath or two at the top. Gently open your gaze and remove the front props. Come to sit on one hip. We will move into supported back bend. Move your covering off to the side. Move this bottom blanket to the middle of the mat lengthwise. If you are using extra blankets, make a stack of blankets on top lengthwise, adding 1 or 2 more stacked blankets. Since I have a bolster, I will be using my bolster today, but the same principles apply. We are going to come sit at the bottom edge of our props. For me, it'll be this bottom edge of the bolster, leaving space at the top of the mat for our head. Bringing my covering, sitting at the base of my bolster. My knees are going to stay bent and my feet are going to stay flat on the mat. Begin to cover yourself up. First, come down to the bolster or blankets and test out the height and position of our bottom prop. We want to make sure our low back and back are supported. I'm coming down first to my elbows, and I need to come up more on my bolster. I'm going to sit up on the bottom edge of my bolster. Once again, I'm going to roll down to my elbows, checking that my low back and back are supported. The top edge of your blanket or the top edge of the bolster is going to end at your mid-back. It's going to end right along that line underneath your shoulder blades going across the back. Your upper back, shoulders, head, and neck are supported on the mat. Hands come out wide to a T position. Breathe deeply. Feeling the openness of the belly and the chest. Begin to feel the open sensation of the belly and how the bottom ribs flare open. Let your lower trunk and low back sink in to your props. Our knees are bent, our feet steady and grounded on the mat. Bring your body scan up to your heart space. Feel the openness of your chest. Feel the deep rhythm of your breath. How the chest rises and falls with the breath. Imagine a light radiating out from your heart and your belly, giving peace and kindness to ourselves, opening up to the peace and kindness of the world, and equally giving a part of ourselves the openness of our back bend, sending love and gratitude in to the space around you and into the greater community as a whole. Begin to come back to this present moment. Slowly bring yourself back. Hug your arms in around you, stacking one arm on top of the other. Hug your heart space. The hands come down to the mat. Begin to push yourself towards the top of your mat. And then push the bolster out from under you, letting the full length of the mat support your back. Your back coming to fully rest on the mat. Hug the knees into the chest, giving some movement side to side, and then roll over onto one side in a fetal position. When you feel ready, push yourself sideways up to sitting. We have made it to final relaxation. We are going to use a bolster and 2 blocks to create an elevated level for our legs. If you don't have these props, be creative and stack blankets or pillows so your feet are above your hips. So your knees will be above your hips. Using 2 blocks, place them towards the top of your mat on the low setting. Stack your bolster on top. Grab your blanket to cover up with. Grab your eye covering. If you have an extra blanket, I invite you to roll it or fold it at the top of your mat to create a pillow for your neck and head. Yogi's choice. Come to sit with one hip next to your elevated props. Swing the legs over and hook the knees onto the top of the prop. Let the feet and shins dangle. Begin to cover yourself up. Making sure you feel supported and comfy. Once again, roll down to your elbows. Coming down to our top prop, tuck it in to support your head and neck. We want our chin to drop down towards our chest and create length in the back of the neck. Tuck the tailbone and place the low back on the mat. Cover yourself up and the arms come out to a T. Final relaxation with elevated legs. Breathe deeply. Allow the work we did today to settle in to the body. We come to fully rest, letting the body drop down and in, finding the deepest core of ourselves, tapping in to that beautiful rhythm of breath. Gently rest. Give yourself permission to stay here for as long as you can. If you do nothing else for your health every day, find final relaxation. When you get a break in the day, simply come to rest, allowing the body and breath to find peace, allowing the mind to quiet. Relaxation pose and other restorative yoga postures is the practice of deliberate stillness. It is the practice of tuning our awareness in to make note of how and where we hold tension and consciously release it. For the next few minutes, release all your worry, doubt, your pressing to-dos, and rest. For this moment, let your body feel heavy. Release all grip and holding. You are one with your breath. Simply let it be and be here, savoring the stillness and silence for a final time. You are invited to stay here as long as you like. If you need to move on with your day, I invite you to pause the video and take care. Work to practice final relaxation for 5 to 10 minutes a day. If at all, at least once a week, find this posture for 20 to 30 minutes. Incorporate this practice and find time to rest. Once again, savoring the silence and stillness, I will fully bring us out of this practice in a few minutes. After relaxing so deeply, gently come back to this present moment. Bring your attention to the sensations of the outer world pressing in. Gently remove your eye bag and set it off to the side. Gently bend the knees in, one knee at a time, moving softly and slowly. Gently blink open the eyes. I invite you to hug the knees into the chest. Finding any last movement or stretch here before rolling onto one side. Lay the head on your hands and breathe in the side lying position for at least 2 breaths. Gently blink open the eyes, press into your hands and arms, sitting up sideways onto one hip, and then turn so you come to sitting all the way up. Find a comfortable seat, bring the palms out to the sides, face up. Inhale in, palms come together in a prayer position in front of you. Thank you for practicing with me today and letting me be your guide, and practicing with me as I continue to learn how to share this beautiful practice with others. I appreciate you and for joining me today. Thank you.